Hello, and welcome to another episode of How to Fix. And on today's episode of How to Fix, we'll be doing the continuation of Age of Extinction with How to Fix Transformers 5 The Last Night. God, this one's gonna take a while. But I know you guys have been waiting on it, so I won't make you wait any longer. So without wasting any more time, let's just get into it. Alright, now before I start, Transformers The Last Night was a really bad movie, but had a highly interesting concept. I thought the Transformers fighting in World War II was somewhat interesting, but I'm not gonna lie, they lost me when they tried to say that the Underground Railroad was an actual railroad and the train was a transformer. So again, some concepts work, some of them don't. One concept that I really liked but just didn't work was Optimus Prime, and that's what we'll be attempting to fix right now. So his arc in the movie would start off just how it ended in the last one. Optimus flies to space, vowing to stop Quintessa before she reaches Earth. Now as our boy is flying through space trying to stop Quintessa before she reaches Earth, Quintessa is gonna immediately notice this. So she uses her little freaky magic and sends out a shockwave throughout space. And this immediately hits Optimus Prime, knocking him out. Not only would this give you a look of how powerful Quintessa is, but it could also explain why Optimus was floating around in space in that one scene. Like, come on, man, you were so confident flying into space that you would think you would know how space itself works. But nope, just moments later, you're knocked out and unconscious. So instead of just miraculously crash landing on Cybertron, Quintessa will actually meet up with Optimus Prime, bringing the planet of Cybertron with her. And so as Prime's waking up, he's looking around, he's like, whoa, this is Cybertron. This was destroyed. Where am I? And so now this scene will play out the exact same, where Prime is walking through Cybertron and meets Quintessa. Except now Quintessa tells him that she's rebuilding Cybertron, and it's all Prime's fault that he got rid of the seed in Age of Extinction. And now the reasons as to why Quintessa wants this seed is because she's trying to rebuild Transformers. She's trying to rebuild the population of Transformers. She's also trying to build Cybertron, almost as if she's preparing for something. And so Prime asks her, why is she rebuilding Cybertron? Why did she need the seed? Why is she rebuilding Transformers? And just like in the original, Quintessa's motives are to stop Unicron. That's right, Unicron is coming. And no, he is not in the Earth like the original one. Quintessa tells Optimus that there's been a prophecy long ago, like way before the wars of Cybertron, that Unicron was destined to, destroy the universe, I guess. And Quintessa's like, we would have had it all under control, but your little stupid war led to the extinction of most Transformers. And so Optimus is like, oh no, what have I done? The whole universe is at stake and it's my fault. And so Prime asks Quintessa, what can you do to fix this? And Quintessa notices a little bit of fear in Optimus Prime, as if he's forgotten who he is. All that honor that made him such a good leader is gone. And so being the little devious quintessence that she is, she tells Optimus to go back to Earth and retrieve her seed, but not before putting that red marking on his face, turning him into Nemesis Prime. So now in the opening of this movie, we've now been introduced to Nemesis Prime. And this version of Optimus is powered through his vulnerable side, his fears, his sorrow, his grief. And if you guys remember what I said in the last video, this war has really changed Optimus. And now he feels as if this version of him can keep Earth and the universe and all his friends safe. And so Quintessa uses her cool magic and sends Optimus to Earth. Meanwhile, back on Earth, Autobots are still being hunted. They're still considered dangerous by society. The Autobots are still being hunted, except this time by a new militia, led by my guy from the original 3 movies. In the original, there was a little mini arc about him hunting down the people that he used to fight with. So in this movie, it'll still be there, except more fleshed out. It just won't be a one and done thing. So obviously with the last attempt of hunting down Transformers not working, they decided that using Transformers to hunt more Transformers just isn't a good idea. Maybe Lockdown was holding back for his friends. But then again, they're working for somebody who considers the Transformers to be his friend. That'll just go to show how stupid the humans are in this universe. The ones hunting the Transformers are basically bigots. But instead of using Transformers, they use drones and tank drones. But this tends not to go well as the Autobots are deciding to fight back. Bumblebee's the leader and he's kind of a loose cannon. More on that later. Kate is also still here and he's still fighting back. But now he's alone with both of his kids going into hiding. The Autobot roster is still the same, with Bumblebee leading, Crosshairs, and Hound. And in some point throughout the movie, during this first opening battle between the militia that's hunting them, Bumblebee sends out the signal that Optimus was telling him to send out in the last movie, which was a signal to tell the Autobots, like, hey, if you're out there, come to Earth. You know, you're not alone. We're all here. And so Bumblebee does, but this is what kind of gets the militia hot on their tail. This is what gets them fighting for real. But on the bright side, it did lead to some Autobots coming to Earth. Those Autobots being Hot Rod, Evac, and Windblade. Also, the Dinobots are still there too, but they kind of left out to be on their own. They don't really coexist with the Autobots, they just come in when they're needed. And plus, the last knight being Optimus is gone, so they really have no one to fight for. So at this point, just like the original, Crosshairs wants to be the leader of the Autobots. Him and Bumblebee are kind of neck and neck. The tension's really high between the two. You know, they're starting not to like each other. Windblade serves as the peace between the two. She's actually the peace between all the Autobots. She keeps them all together. Calms down the situation. Hot Rod and Evac basically go hand in hand. They're both the new guys on the team. And again, Hound is comedic relief. But also, I forgot to mention, Windblade herself was also a knight. And she's actually fought alongside Drift. The group also misses Optimus Prime very much. So while fighting back against the militia and being on the run, they stumble across a Transformer that needs saving. This Transformer is actually a knight, and he's on the verge of death. And basically, this is the same knight that gives Cade the talisman, except he doesn't give Cade a talisman. Instead, he says he traveled here because he sensed the presence of another knight, which is Windblade. He landed on Earth just in time for the wrong people to get to him at the wrong time. And so before he dies, he tells Windblade that he's coming. And Windblade's like, oh my god. And so the other Transformers are like, what's wrong with her? She's tripping. And Windblade basically tells them, like, hey, there's this guy, he means serious business. He's coming, and your last knight isn't here. So Bumblebee's like, tell us what we need to do to stop him before he arrives. And Windblade basically tells them we need to find the remnants of an old knight artifact that basically explains how to stop Unicron, if it were to ever happen. And so Bumblebee agrees, and himself, Hot Rod, and Hound all leave to find this artifact. Some funny banter I thought of is that Crosshairs is like, whoa, wait, you're just leaving me? And Bumblebee's just like, yep, I'm leaving you to be leader now. And then Crosshairs is just like, well, alright then. And then he just kicks back and relaxes while the rest of them leave. Also, I didn't mention, but Cade's coming too. And so now we have both our A and our B plot going on in this movie. We have our A plot being Optimus trying to retrieve the seed from Earth, and the B plot being that the Autobots are trying to find that artifact that tells them how to stop Unicron. Now let's just get into what the villains of Earth will be doing in this movie. So it's no surprise that the militia that they sent after the Transformers isn't working. You sent the humans to fight 40-foot tall war robots. So here comes Stanley Tucci's character again. He basically goes to the government and says, hey, we've been running this experiment on this new Transformer material that we can use to make Transformers. And he's like, now I know you guys already worked with the Transformer with Lockdown, but Lockdown had sentience. He had a mind of his own. Again, he could have been holding back to give the Transformers time to escape. But now let me introduce you to our KSI drones, which are basically Transformers that we control. And then he introduces Galvatron. He's been programmed with the same battle IQ Megatron had, meaning he could pack up any Autobot within seconds. With the government being the government, they're like, okay, yeah, go ahead. Now with the main story being established, we are now on to the second act of this movie. And so now Nemesis Prime is finally landing on Earth, and he is making his way towards the seed. And while doing this, Quintessa will also have the ability to communicate with them, so this is where all their dialogue will come from. Their dialogue is basically Optimus reminiscing on life before Cybertron's fall and before the war and all that. And this would basically add more to his motivation as to why he chose to be Nemesis Prime. That and also being manipulated by Quintessa. And now back to the Autobot plot, which would take up a chunk of this movie. And before I talk about that again, I want to talk about the main 4 Transformers that the Autobots will be fighting. Along with Galvatron, you would have Soundwave, Shockwave, Thundercracker, and Blitzwing. And as for their designs, I wanted to give them a more retro Generation 1 look, because Stanley Tucci sees these guys as also being marketable. And back then, the Transformers were made to sell toys. I don't know, maybe you guys understand it, but that's just a little gag that I have with the designs. So anyways, the Autobots are on their way to find that Knight artifact. Windblade brings the group to an old library located in London, and here they meet Anthony Hopkins' character, who was basically a Transformer historian, but no one ever took him seriously because he's studying the history of 40-foot tall robots. And just like in the original, he remembers Bumblebee, but Bumblebee's like, I don't know this guy. And again, just like in the original, he brings up Bumblebee's past in fighting in World War II. And the reason why Bumblebee doesn't remember that is because just like in this movie, Bumblebee suffers from memory loss. Now, I'm honestly a bit iffy on this plotline that I just made, but that was my best attempt of keeping the Transformers fighting in World War II without completely getting rid of it, because again, I kind of thought that was a really cool concept. And then let me know what you guys thought about that. But anyways, Anthony Hopkins explains to Cade and the Transformers what Unicron is, and how he's prophesized to destroy the universe, basically. But before he can explain it any further, the Transformium Transformers attack. Now, to make this fight fair narrative-wise, obviously all 5 don't come through. So only Galvatron, Thundercracker, and Blitzwing come to attack. And shout out to this guy for giving me an idea during this fight. But do you guys know how Janemba can basically dissipate during a fight? That's basically what Galvatron would be doing. So since Stanley Tucci's character is just a cocky narcissist, he first sends in Thundercracker and Blitzwing to fight. And the way that they're able to find the Autobots in London, they use global energon detectors. There we go. Plot hole covered. Yeah. So anyways, Blitzwing and Thundercracker go in and nearly get packed up. But that is until Galvatron steps in. And one by one, he is taking out each Autobot. The only one that puts up a good fight is Windblade. And that's because Megatron has never fought a knight before, so it wasn't programmed into Galvatron's battle IQ. But thanks to the unpredictability of him dissipating mid-fight, he's able to defeat Windblade. So after a successful battle, Stanley Tucci's like, alright, mission complete, bring them back. And just as they're about to bring the Autobots back to base, Nemesis Prime comes crashing in. And this whole 1-on-3 fight scene is basically Nemesis Prime going crazy. I'm talking about ripping arms off, tearing faces off, breaking wings, breaking legs, tearing out guts, ripping the face off. You see this guy's hooked, you see this guy's face getting hooked up? He does that to one of them. He's got that dog in him. So Stanley Tucci is looking at the screen. He's like, is that Optimus Prime? You told me he was off-world. And he's also in a room with other people and they're like, I thought so too. So now realizing that his bots are in critical condition, he pulls them back. And just as Galvatron's about to leave, he stares at Optimus Prime. And you get a little tease of him losing control. He just looks at Optimus and goes, Prime, before flying off. So now all the Autobots get up and they're happy to see Optimus. But you know, this isn't Optimus Prime, this is Nemesis Prime. And so he snatches up Bumblebee and demands him to tell him where he put the seed. And while the other Autobots are on guard, Optimus is like, you better tell me before I kill you. Actually, no, before I kill all of you. Bumblebee is hesitant, but he ends up telling Optimus. And so Nemesis, I keep calling him Optimus, but so Nemesis drops Bumblebee and leaves. And so Anthony Hopkins is like, whoa, that was the great Optimus Prime. What I studied about him, he never acted like that. Windblade tells him that that's not Optimus Prime. Something is wrong with him. We need to stop him, yada yada. And then Cade Yeager's like, yeah, we gotta stop him. Remember CB7? You gotta be that Autobot again. I still don't know what that means. And so the second act ends with the Autobots rendezvousing with Crosshairs and Evac. And so Bumblebee tells Crosshairs what has happened and how they need to prepare for him. So Nemesis rendezvous with Quintessa and gives her the seed. Quintessa takes the seed and is like, now we can rebuild. But then she tells Nemesis there's one more thing we have to do before we can prepare for Unicron. And that's to take the seed back to Earth and use Earth's resources to rebuild Cybertron. Nemesis is like, okay, bet. And he goes back down to Earth. Back on Earth, the Autobots and Cade regroup and prepare to stop Nemesis Prime. Anthony Hopkins contacts Windblade to tell her about the Knight artifact. He found it. The key to defeating Unicron is the last Knight. It's Optimus Prime. Now Windblade's like, it's up to us to stop Prime and stop Unicron as well. So just like in the original movie, the final battle takes place in Scotland. Quintessa finally arrives to Earth and brings Cybertron with her, and Cybertron collides into Earth. Not enough to destroy it, just enough to give it a really extreme earthquake. Now this causes a multitude of natural disasters. I'm talking about tsunamis, earthquakes, even volcanoes are erupting. but the piece of Cybertron that happened to be near the Autobots landed in the water. Also, the commander from the last movie realizes all these natural disasters and rendezvous with the Autobots. So now he and his militia are on their side. Bumblebee notices the remnants of Cybertron landing in the ocean, and he also realizes Optimus Prime is there. Windblade tells him that the rest of the Autobots have his back, but Bumblebee's like, no, I'll do it on my own. You guys have to go find that seed. Just as they're about to find it, they see Nemesis Prime standing on top of Cybertron, getting ready to detonate the seed. Bumblebee sees this and quickly shoots at Nemesis to stop him. This causes Nemesis to fall off the top of Cybertron and towards Bumblebee. The final battle kicks off with these two proceeding to fight each other. And I'm talking about it's a more hard-hitting fight than the original. Optimus gets clocked with a hammer. Bumblebee gets his back broken. The two continue fighting with Optimus having the upper hand. I mean, he is whooping Bumblebee. Suddenly, the rest of the Autobots come in to help Bumblebee. And as they're fighting Nemesis Prime, they're telling him, hey, this isn't you. Knock it off. Stop it. You're the leader of the Autobots. We look up to you. All that good stuff. Optimus pieces up every single one of them, besides, again, Windblade. As they're fighting, she's trying to tell Optimus that he's the last knight, the hope of the universe. He has that matrix in his chest for a reason. But Nemesis isn't listening as he takes out Windblade. Bumblebee attempts to hit Optimus one more time before being slammed again. And now Nemesis is angry as he's going ballistic. I mean, he's tearing pieces off of Bumblebee. He's about to kill him until Bumblebee displays a video of Optimus praising him for completing his first mission. This slightly snaps Optimus out of his Nemesis status. Bumblebee tells him that his leadership saved him and that he would lay down his life for him. He actually says this too. He talks in this movie. Any other time, he was either speaking through the radio or just gesturing. Optimus stands and apologizes as he is broken out of his Nemesis state. Yay! And now as Optimus looks around at his Autobots struggling to get to their feet and the destruction that Cybertron has brought, he just asks himself, what have I done? And Cade's like, there's still time to fix this, we just need to get that seed. But before they can do that, the Transformers attack. They basically start jumping Optimus Prime. And just as they're about to kill Optimus, the Autobots attack. And now this would just be a really nice scene of the teamwork between Optimus and his Autobots. And basically just an uplifting moment about how much the Autobots care about Optimus. After the fight, the Transformers retreat. Then after this, Optimus thanks the Autobots for appreciating the way he is. They never lost hope in him one bit. After that nice scene, they realize that Quintessa is off Cybertron and has the seed. After they realize this, Optimus tells them the rendezvous and the land below. And it would basically be where that final battle in the last night took place, those first couple of minutes. And so they approach Quintessa, and Quintessa's like, I knew the Nemesis Prime thing wouldn't work. And she's getting ready to start up the seed. But being the goat that he is, Optimus Prime stops her by destroying the seed. And now Quintessa's like, no, why'd you do that? You doomed the universe. And then Optimus is like, that was never the way to save the universe and stop Unicron. You lied. You did this all for your selfish gain. And I totally forgot to mention this, but Windblade ends up telling Optimus that he's the key in stopping Unicron. So while Quintessa is losing her mind, the Transformers show up again. This gives Quintessa an idea. She begins to use her cool little magic on the Transformers, giving them sentience. And they all have the personalities and mindsets of the original Decepticons they're based off of. Not only does she do that, but she also proceeds to duplicate many different Transformers. Now the final battle consists of Quintessa and the Transformers going against the militia and the Autobots. This would basically give us our final battle between Optimus and Megatron, except Megatron is Galvatron, but has the mind of Megatron. You know what? You get it. But as these two are fighting, Optimus is like, you can come back any shape, size, or form. At the end of the day, I rise, you fall. Optimus then proceeds to finish off Galvatron. Now this whole final battle for Optimus would basically be the result of him finding himself. He's the proud leader of the Autobots. Also, the scene where Optimus fights Infernicus still plays out the exact same. And if you don't know who Infernicus is, it's this guy. But I feel like Optimus telling Infernicus, did you forget who I am, has more emotional weight behind it now that he's found himself. And afterward, when he tells him he's Optimus Prime, it definitely has a lot more emotional weight. Also, the part where he slices all their heads off in one clean slice is just too cold to take out. And also, Infernicus is a Transformer, so yeah. Bumblebee would go against Soundwave and recall their whole little confrontation they had in Transformers 3. And Bumblebee would avenge Wheeljack again. Crosshairs and Shockwave would have a fun, quick little fight. And Hound and Windblade would take out Blitzwing and Thundercracker. Also, there'd be a fun little scene of Evac evacuating the city as the natural disasters are happening. So after that battle, the Autobots realized that Quintessa was about to escape with Cybertron. As they go to Cybertron, the fight would play out the exact same as the original, except just add the rest of those Autobots. And so as they're fighting, Optimus is about to kill Quintessa until Quintessa stops him, and Optimus is like, "Have you met my friend Bumblebee?" And then Bumblebee shows up behind her and shoots her and kills her and is all like, "Sting like a bee." So after that, Windblade's like, "We still have to stop Unicron, he's on his way." And Optimus is like, "I have an idea." So they find the remnants of Quintessa and end up finding her spark. Crosshairs is like, "What do you plan on doing with that?" And Prime is like, "I can replace my spark with hers. If I'm the key to stopping Unicron, I know exactly what to do to stop him. And shoot, if transferring power works with Jetfire, it should work here." By the way, Optimus doesn't say that, I said that. And so, combining Quintessa's power with the Matrix of leadership, Optimus begins to transform into Super Prime. The name's a work in progress. And after transforming into Super Prime, Optimus takes off into space. And he keeps flying and flying and flying until he is met with Unicron. And now this is the only time we will see Unicron within this movie. And let me tell you that he is huge. Like, Optimus is just a speck to him. But as Optimus is looking at Unicron, he declares himself as the last knight. And he sends Unicron back billions of light years away, delaying his approach for another long amount of years. Afterwards, Super Prime lands back on Earth, where he thanks the humans and Autobots for their help. Now realizing that his terms with the humans will probably never be resolved due to all the constant attacks, Optimus and his Autobots decide to leave for Cybertron, which, like in this photo, is sitting directly above them. And so he bids the humans farewell and tells them though the majority may see him as a monster, as long as the ones he cares about sees him as a hero, he can live peacefully. He also thanks Cade for saving him while he was in that rusty state, and for giving him a chance at redemption. After that, Optimus takes his newly found form and leaves, along with the rest of the Autobots. The movie ends with Cade Yeager watching the Autobots leave for Cybertron, as a slight smirk appears on his face. What I've done! Post-credit scene opens with a small little Peruvian town, and a young girl by the name of Isabella is just walking around the streets. She then stumbles across an orange Mustang and admires it. She then stumbles across a license plate that simply reads Hot Rod. Boom, cut to black. See, now I know what you're thinking. Wasn't Hot Rod in majority of this movie? Yes. But if you guys know, Hot Rod kind of serves as the future of Transformers. As you guys know, in the old Transformers movie, he becomes Optimus Prime. So yeah, hypothetically speaking, these next batch of movies would be a lot more lighthearted, like the recent movies that have come out. The movies would be focused more on these kids, except, you know, they're like 10 times more likable. And just plan on expanding the world of Transformers with like the Beast Wars or something. Maybe have Black Arachnica be the villain. But anyways, that was how to fix Transformers 5 The Last Night. Again, this was another fun video I had tons of fun making, and you already know I had to throw it out a day after the first one came. The next one probably won't be until another month, but I'm looking at Thor Love and Thunder. But anyways, just stay tuned for that. I hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure you like, comment, let me know what you would have changed about The Last Night. Let me know if you liked this one or not. I know it was very experimental when it came to the lore of Transformers and just trying something new, not even sticking to source material. But yeah, again, make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe. We are at, as of right now, we are at like 400 subscribers. That's pretty crazy. We'll probably be at like 10,000 by the end of 2023. Or maybe even 100,000 by the end of 2023. I don't know what the future tells. But anyways, hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys later.